In this video, I'm going to show you how to install SQL Server 2022. And the reason why we want to install SQL Server 2022 is so that I can demonstrate how to upgrade it from SQL 2022 to SQL 2025. So the first thing is I already have the software copied over onto this new box. I'm going to just mount the SQL Server 2022 installation image. I'll run that as administrator. The first thing actually is, let me look at this file here, because I like to just create my directories way ahead of time. So what I'll do is I will just create my directories using that batch file. Then we have already launched the SQL Server Installation Center for SQL Server 2022. Of course, in this one we will be installing a standalone installation, so I'll click on that. Then we'll give it a few seconds for this GUI to launch. So the GUI is launched. Then we're going to go with the developer option. I'll select that one. I'm going to accept the license. I'll go to next. And of course, this is almost similar to what we've seen with SQL 2025, but we're just going to select a few things different here. I'll just let it check. No, you know what? I'm going to skip that for now, because all I need to have here is just this installation so that we can demonstrate something totally different, doing an upgrade from 2022 to 2025. I am not gonna get the Azure extension at this point. I'll go to next. Over here, all I'm gonna do is database engine, replication, and full text. And I'm also just going to do integration services. Then I'll go to next. And of course, we'll talk more about these components. Actually, if you have questions about anything you see on these videos, don't hesitate to drop a question, because I will definitely respond to answer any of your questions. Okay, so we'll do another default instance on this box. This is a totally different box, different from the box where we have the SQL Server 2025. So instance configuration, this one actually I am going to do I'm going to use the built-in accounts, those accounts that you're seeing. I'll leave the collation as default, so I'm not going to define any domain name accounts on this one. Sometimes it's really good to use default accounts. Again, it depends on your identity access management policy. I've worked in environments where the identity access management policy was pretty tight, and therefore resorting to default accounts enabled or allowed us not to have this rotation, password rotation based on a certain year, because we really don't have these passwords and we can't rotate them. So next, I will leave, you know what, yeah, I'm gonna leave it as Windows authentication for now, so that we can demonstrate actually what happens. I'll add the current user for now, and then I'll go to data directories. For this one, my user database is gonna be one of those folders I created. Let's see, this one, that's gonna be my SQL Server databases. My logs are gonna be SQL Server logs, that one. And I believe my backup is gonna be chose for my backup. If I come over here and I look at this, it was Z drive. So do we have a Z drive? No, we don't. Okay, I'll leave it as default for now. I'll also leave that as default for now. Normally you need to configure it based on the configuration document that you're using. I'll select that recommended memory for now, and then I'll check that to accept the recommended memory. I'm not going to install the file stream. I'll click next, and we will be ready to install it. And this is just a quick demo on how to do SQL Server 2022 setup. If there is any need for us to go into detail about doing a SQL Server 2022, drop a comment and just ask the question, and I can always create a video for that specific question you're asking. But this is just, basic, swift, easy stuff. Anybody can do it. So I'll let this run, and then I'll pause the video, and I'll resume as soon as it is complete. So we are almost finishing the SQL 2022 installation. And the installation is complete, and it is successful. So we can actually attempt to connect. We are on the same box still. So it is connected. This is the complete installation. This is the summary file of all the details regarding that installation. I can close the screen now. Then if I was to just open a new query window, and this may be a SQL 2022 for an application. Let's say this is going to support an application called PeopleSoft. Okay, so first of all, let me just check and make sure. There are several ways to check this. To check the version, you can select the version number. You can look at the number here. On the instance name, you can right click, go to properties, and you should be able to see all the details that you're looking for, including the version itself. So this is SQL Server 2022. And like I said, this may be a database that's going to serve a specific application that was very specific with the version that they have, which is compatible to their license, and therefore they needed that version created. So let's say this was for PeopleSoft database, right? And I'm going to make that database be owned by system admin. So we have the PeopleSoft database over there, and that concludes the installation of SQL 2022. If you need more information on installing SQL Server 2022, you can drop a comment, or you can reach me out. And if you know anybody who would like to understand how to install SQL 2022, this is an easy step guide process on how to do it. You must show them this video. Otherwise, thank you, and we'll talk about an upgrade from SQL 2022 to SQL 2025 very soon.